Welcome back to the hands-on. So when we're looking at our architecture overview, or when we're having an overview of the architecture, we realize that the route table for the private subnet 2, so that is private route table 2, was only routing local traffic. So there was no NAT gateway. That's the private route table was actually routing traffic to. So it means that we had only one NAT gateway deployed in one subnet in one availability zone. All right, so what we are going to do now is to route internet bound traffic to a NAT gateway, but before that we will have to create a NAT gateway. All right, so I'll head to the NAT gateway and then I'll create a new NAT gateway. You can see that there is only one NAT gateway there, so I'll go ahead and click on create NAT gateway, and here I'll give it NAT gateway 2 just to easily differentiate it from the previous one, and I'll deploy this in the public subnet too. So always remember that you put your NAT gateway in a public subnet and you will now route your traffic to it, and then now associate that route table with the private subnet. I'll also allocate an elastic IP, which I did earlier, and then now create the NAT gateway. Once done, I'll go to the route table, and since the route tables are already created, I will just configure the private route table 2 to route internet bound traffic to the second NAT gateway that we created. Right, it's easy as that. Okay, and then I will select the second one. So I give it a name so that I can easily identify the NAT gateway. Right, so I can see that this is the second one that I created and save changes. So now we have been able to make our NAT gateway highly available. So instances in the second availability zone, that is on the private subnet, will be able to reach the internet, right? So the next thing, since we have our instances in the private subnet, we need a way to also connect to our private subnet, right? That is in case we would want to do some administrative work on the private instances, we should be able to. So what we are going to do is we are going to create a Bastion host that will only be open to us alone to be able to connect through the Bastion host, right? Connect to our private instances through the Bastion host. So I'll head to the EC2 console and I'll launch an instance. So the instance name will just be Bastion host. And the AMI, we are going to maintain what we have here. The instance type will be T2 micro, and we'll use the VO key pair, right? And for network, I'm going to put it in the lab VPC, and I'll also put the Bastion host in the public subnet. So any of the subnet will do, but I'll use the public subnet 1. All right, so I'll click on the drop down, scroll down, and then select the public subnet. Auto assign public IP should also be enabled. For security group, I'll create a new security group. So let me just do it Bastion SG, and this will allow traffic, right, only from my IP. So I'll open an SSH port, but it will be from my IP. Okay, so we are good here, and I'll now launch the instance. So let me just review what I've done. Selected a key. All right, that's okay. Instance type, I have a name for it, that's fine. And then now launch the instance. So once this is in process, our next task is to create an auto scaling group, but I'll pause the video here and I'll see you in the next video for that hands-on.